We are exploring the religion of Islam once again, and the story of Islam as an organized religion starts off with the Prophet Muhammad. However, Islam really rose in a certain historical and geographical context. It's important to understand this. So in this episode of FTD Facts, we are looking at 10 surprising historical facts about the religion of Islam. Welcome back, guys. My name is Leroy Kenton, and now this episode is really to give you a general idea of the rise of the religion of Islam as an organized religion by examining the life of the Prophet Muhammad and events surrounding his life. We get a lot of requests to do videos about Islam as well as other religions, and if you have a request for a future topic you want to see here on FTD Facts, let me know down below. There's so much information to explore. Now with that said, let's just jump into this episode. So this revelation of the religion of Islam, it really had its beginning in the Night of Power, which many traditional accounts date to the night between the 26th and the 27th of Ramadan, which is the 9th month of the Muslim calendar. The Prophet Muhammad often went to the caves of Hira in Jabal al-Nur, which is a mountain in Mecca, for solitary meditation, and on this night he experienced a very profound yet sort of unsettling vision. Now there are several versions of the story. They differ in certain details, but the meaning is pretty much the same. There's an angelic being later identified by Muhammad as the Archangel Gabriel, or Jibril as it's pronounced in Arabic. This being appeared to him and commanded him to recite in the name of God. Muhammad did not respond immediately, and the angel took him by the throat and shook him and repeated the command to recite. Again, the Prophet Muhammad did not really react, and the angel then really took hold of him, and Prophet Muhammad then agreed to do what he was told. So that really began Muhammad's years as a prophet, first to the people of Mecca and then ultimately to all of Arabia. It's known that the Prophet Muhammad left Mecca and traveled to Medina in the year AD 622. Now this event is called a Hijra migration, and the Hijra really marks the starting point of the Muslim calendar, and the years are counted from that particular event. Getting a little bit more into who the Prophet Muhammad actually is, Muhammad ibn Abdullah was born around 570 AD in Mecca, Arabia, which is present-day Saudi Arabia, and ended up passing away on June 8th, 632 in Medina, Arabia. He was a man who claimed that when he was 40 years old, he received his first revelation from God. Fast forward now, let's look at the Islamic Golden Age, which is traditionally dated as being between the 8th to the 13th centuries. This was marked by the ascension of the Abbasid Caliphate. Now the Abbasids were influenced by the Quran's injunction that the ink of the scholar is more holy than the blood of the martyr. And during this time, the Arab world became an intellectual center for science, astronomy, chemistry, physics, math, philosophy, medicine, and just education in general. We've done several videos about this where we highlight some of the Islamic achievements when it comes to the world of science and inventions and discoveries and all of that. I encourage you to check out those episodes. It'll fill you in on a lot more details. Another interesting historical fact about the religion of Islam is that Muslims created a house of wisdom known as the Bait ul Hikmat, and that was active during the 9th to the 13th centuries. And this was where both Muslims as well as non-Muslim scholars actually sought to translate the world's knowledge into Arabic. Many classical works of ancient times that might have been completely lost were actually preserved in Arabic as well as Persian and later translated into languages like Turkish, Hebrew, and Latin. Now, it was here that scholars really synthesized and significantly advanced knowledge that was gained from the Romans, the Chinese, the Persians, Egyptians, as well as the Greeks and the Phoenician civilizations. So guys, we took a look at 5 interesting and surprising historical facts about the religion of Islam. We got 5 more to go, but just a reminder, guys, to leave a like on this episode if you're enjoying it so far. And if this is your first time here to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We share videos about religion, countries, cultures, and people from all around the world. So if any of those topics interest you, stick around here on FTD Facts. Now the next fact I want to share in this episode is about the Muslim scholars Ibn Rushd and Ibn Sina. Now these two men were primarily responsible for saving the works of Aristotle, whose ideas would later really integrate into both Christian and Muslim theology. Now, this is actually a very debated thing because it brings up the question of how much philosophy can be included into religious theology. But in any case, for the most part, there seemed to be a seamless integration, and the framework for the integration of philosophy into theology really increased from the 13th century onwards. So yes, philosophy and religion, including the religion of Islam, definitely can go hand in hand. Next fact I want to touch on is about the Koresh tribe. Now, the Koresh tribe had control of Mecca at one point. In addition to that, Mecca was the center of polytheism, and it became the most important stop along what soon became the primary trade route in the Arabian Peninsula. So the Koresh tribe, they gained a great deal of wealth and prestige from this particular set of circumstances, and it was at first to the Koresh and the Meccans that Muhammad brought the message of Islam. Now, the message really required social and economic changes that the Koresh at first completely resisted, leading to years of hostility and persecution. Yet it was the Prophet Muhammad who ultimately ended up uniting the Arabs of the peninsula into a single nation. Now, we mentioned a little bit about Arabia, but for the pre-Islamic period in Arabia, it's commonly called Jahiliyyah, which means the days of the ignorance. And the religion of the Arab world before the rise of Islam had a lot to do with polytheism. Now, it was believed that the desert was populated with fiery spirits called jinn, and numerous gods were worshipped as well, with each town having its own interpretation of God or their own local god. Mecca soon became the religious center with 360 shrines, which was one for each day in the lunar calendar. Local merchants really depended heavily on pilgrims to these shrines for their livelihood. And because of these beliefs, this is also why there's a lot of Arab lore as well as cultural stories, which oftentimes gets confused with actual Islamic teachings and beliefs. After the passing of the Prophet Muhammad, Islam continued to spread rapidly. And then from there was a series of leaders of the Muslim community that became known as Caliphs. This particular type of leadership that was run by a Muslim ruler became known as a caliphate. And the most popular Muslim belief is that the first caliph was Abu Bakr, which was Muhammad's father-in-law, as well as a very close friend of his. And the final historical fact about Islam that I want to share in this episode is about the Quran. So the Quran is the holy text of Muslims, and it has 6,232 verses or surahs. But you see, in the early days of Islam, religious leaders had to memorize the entire text and recite the Quran to multiple scribes at a time. That's how the Quran was first mass produced. Now, this is completely different from the European monks that transcribed the writings of the Bible, as they had hand copied the text one word and one page at a time. It wasn't like that with the Quran. Everything was just recited verbally from the beginning. Alright guys, so that was a look at 10 surprising and interesting historical facts about the religion of Islam. Really hope you guys enjoyed this one and learned something new even. As always, leave your thoughts and comments down below about anything that I shared in this episode or about anything else that you want to add. You can also follow me on social media. Those links are below, and I'll be leaving you with a recommended episode at the end screen, so check it out once you see it. My name is Leroy Kenton. It's been awesome hanging out with you, and I'll see you in the next episode.